I'm not racist. I believe you mustn't mix black and white kids in the same school. Sorry, Louis, we're going to talk straight. Yes,
Really?
I firmly believe it.
This guy isn't joking. He's dead serious. This isn't just his opinion. It's a mindset behind a system designed to control millions. A system and order that decides your life. This is apartheid. Apartheid, meaning separateness in Afrikaans, was a system that operated on racial segregation. It existed in South Africa and modern-day Namibia, characterized by an authoritarian culture that ensured that the white minority dominated every aspect of the country. Under this system, white people were the priority and came first in everything. They held the highest status in society. The Indians came next, right behind the white people, followed by the coloreds, which are basically mixed race, and in dead last, the blacks. They held the lowest status and got bottom of the barrel in everything. You might be asking yourself where the Indians came from. Well, they were brought to South Africa by the British under contracts to work on sugar plantations, railways and mines. But just like the black population, they too were denied full rights and controlled. This is what's misunderstood about apartheid. It wasn't just about black and white. It was designed to favor whites only. It shaped every non-white life in the country. And daily life was a struggle. Living areas between the white and black population were day and night. The white population lived in suburbs, lined with trees, spacious gardens, and massive houses. They enjoyed tarred roads, sanitation, and electricity. While the black population was forced to live in small, 4-room matchbox houses, built by the government, often located in townships. These areas were severely overcrowded, lacking electricity and poor sanitation. This didn't just apply to housing only. Blacks were denied access to same schools, hospitals, and beaches, often required to carry around passbooks, which were documents that told authorities where you were and weren't allowed to go. Imagine being told that you can't go to the beach just because your skin color is of a different tone, that your future, home, and education was decided from the time you were born. People grew upset with this, of course, and filled with anger, they took to the streets. This sparked significant internal resistance. The government responded to uprisings with police brutality. They weren't taking any chances. An example is the Sharpeville massacre of 1960. On March 21st, thousands of black South Africans gathered in Sharpeville. They came unarmed. They were planning a protest, not a coup. Men, women, teenagers stood outside the police station, chanting and singing. The police, however, came with guns. The crowd continued to grow, increasing in size, when suddenly, the police opened fire. Bullets tore through the crowd. Panic filled the air and chaos erupted. Shouting, screaming, and the sound of gunfire is all that could be heard. People trampled on each other, trying their best to flee, but by the time the shooting stopped, 69 people were dead, with over 180 more injured. Most people were shot in the back, showing that they got shot while trying to get away. This event shocked the world because for the first time, they saw how brutal apartheid was. You'd expect this to stop protests, but it lit a fire inside people's hearts. They realized peaceful silence was futile, and the fight grew stronger. But this wouldn't be the last time the police did something like this. On June 16, 1967, 16 years after Sharpeville, students took to the streets after the government announced that black students would be forced to learn many of their subjects in Afrikaans, a language they were not familiar with. This meant that learning would become much harder for students in Soweto. Students left their classrooms and marched through the streets of Soweto, protesting this decision. But once again, the police were waiting for them. As the students approached them, chanting and singing freedom songs, officers fired tear gas. Panic ensued, then the shooting started. People ran in every direction, children screaming and crying. One of those children was a 12-year-old boy, Hector Peterson. He was shot and fell to the ground. A fellow student picked him up and ran with him, with his sister following not far behind. A picture captured this very moment. The Soweto uprising left many dead, but it too was a turning point, just like Sharpeville. The resistance just grew stronger. The message was clear. They'd had enough. And at the forefront was a man known as Nelson Mandela. As a young lawyer, he believed peaceful protest would change the country. But after the massacres, he understood he was wrong. He joined the fight against apartheid, helping organize resistance movements. In 1962, he got unlucky. He got arrested by the government. The government thought this would silence the struggle, but it made him a symbol. For 27 long years, Mandela was behind bars, separated from his family. Yet even in prison, he never gave up on the dream. Outside the walls, protests continued, demanding his release. And when he finally walked in 1990, the fire was lit even stronger than before. Freedom felt possible, and for sure it was coming. By the 90s, the world couldn't ignore it anymore. The South African government was facing international pressure. Their grip on control was weakening. Protests were closing in on them from every direction, and with sanctions being placed on them, it was only a matter of time before they were out. After calling him a criminal for years, they realized they couldn't move forward without Mandela. Talks began between him and the government to end apartheid peacefully. Many feared the country would fall into a civil war, but instead, South Africans of all races chose to negotiate and not to fight. In 1994, for the first time, everyone was allowed to vote. Millions stood in line for hours to cast their first ever vote, and by the end, Mandela had become the first black president of South Africa. Apartheid was finally over. Apartheid wasn't just a law, it was fear and hatred carried into everyday life, and yet with courage and unity, the people proved that oppression couldn't break them. This is apartheid, a story of hope, a story of struggle, a story the world mustn't forget.